Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access. My name is Nate and welcome back to the Tuesday Checklist. Every week we take inspiration from a recent or upcoming release to spark a conversation about some of our favourite gaming moments. And with Metal Gear Survive about to bring techno horror to one of the biggest franchises of all time, we decided to pitch each other some ideas for crazy sequels that mark a big change from the games they're based on. Hear us out on this.
So a crazy sequel idea that you should hear me out on is Uncharted karting. Which I think is actually quite a popular idea because Naughty Dog had their whole kind of thing going on when they made the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. Yeah. Then they made Crash Team Racing and it was amazing. Then
I'd beat you at that.
Sorry?
I'd beat you at Crash Team Racing.
No one would. No one would. And then they made the Jak and Daxter trilogy on PS2 and followed that up with Jak X Combat Racing, another really cool driving game.
Yeah.
And then they made the Uncharted trilogy and followed that up by making Uncharted 4.
Oh, no.
Who wants that?
Stupid,
I want the kart game.
It's got a Jeep in it though.
It has got a Jeep bit, but just imagine how great it would be if you had all of the characters from the Uncharted universe in a kart game that was as fun and as varied as Crash Team Racing, with Uncharted's level of graphics. I mean, think of the weapons that you could use. In Crash, you're like throwing out nitro carts and bombs. In Drake Team Racing, that's what I call it.
Nice.
In Drake Team Racing, you'd have like grenades and assault rifles, but you'd also have like special power-ups. Like you could have like they do in Uncharted multiplayer, where they have the golden statue, the golden El Dorado statue, which unleashes this plague that could like that could completely screw up all the other races.
I think it would. That sounds a bit definitive. That one. A plague.
That's like the old. You get that, you've just won the race.
So are all the power-ups based on the supernatural elements of the earlier Uncharted games? Because I quite like them.
You could have that, yeah. You could have maybe one of the power-ups could be you call in the blue guardians from Shambhala from Uncharted 2, and they can just fire their special arrows at everyone.
The other contestants become those guardians for a few seconds and
they
can't drive properly. They're driving all over.
And they're too big for their carts.
No,
I can't. I don't know what I'm doing. Crazy Drake Team Racing X.
What's the X for?
Just extreme.
Marks the spot, you should have said.
Marks the spot, yeah.
Oh, like a pirate thing.
Exactly.
And then it'd be online as well. Like Crash Team Racing's not online, sadly. I can never beat everyone and
yeah, or have your bluff called.
Yes.
So just to get a read for the room, are we all familiar with Hogs of War?
Yes.
The PS1 classic?
Worms, but 3D and pigs.
Exactly.
Man, I loved Hogs of War.
A great game, right?
It's an amazing game.
Guys, you seem less sure about this.
I've never heard of it.
Never heard of Hogs of War.
I never
played the demo over and over. It's like Worms, but 3D with
As
pigs.
Rob alludes to,
it
is
we
like,
got that, Rob.
imagine Worms, but it's 3D, and you are hogs.
Right, okay.
Yeah, anthropomorphic pigs in sort of World War II get-up.
Yeah.
You've got like a leather jacket on and a metal helmet, running around throwing grenades and stuff at each other. It's quite cartoony, quite stylised. Really good fun, really excellent game. And that came out a long time ago, maybe like 15 years. And I want it to come back.
Okay.
So what it's time for is a gritty reboot of Hogs of War. And now, the turn-based thing has maybe had its day. So I'm thinking we go first person, team-based, tactical squad shooter in the vein of like maybe an early Rainbow Six game. I'm talking like hyper-realistic. One shot and you're dead, right? So you need to be...
Yeah.
The key thing is that you and your three teammates are still pigs. I haven't considered...
Who are you fighting?
Well, I haven't really considered this yet. Like who the enemy are. Maybe they're just humans, or maybe they're sheep. Because in the game,
Farmers.
the original game, the enemy are just more pigs.
Right. Yeah.
But if you want some good corridor combat, you can't really have pigs up and down it because that's not big enough.
Is it taking place in corridors? Is it farmyards? Is it?
I think you need some corridors in there to sort of organise your squad around. If it's big open fields, that's harder.
Can we investigate the world a little bit? Is this a world? Is it our world, but pigs are
Rising up.
or is it a different?
Maybe
world
it's like
pigs
Planet of the
rule
Apes,
the
but it's
planet?
like Planet of the Pigs.
Right. Oh, what a nightmare.
That's awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
One thing that I'm definitely sure of that I really want to bring over from the first game is the weapon set.
Okay.
And much like the Worms games, you have the basic ones like the machine gun and the sword and the cluster grenade, but then you also have like the bazooka and the poison gas and stuff.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure these pigs have got all these weapons with them,
An arsenal.
and you can use them in given different situations. So how are you going to deal with this room that's got 4 men or pigs or sheep inside it?
Right.
I've got this complete arsenal of stuff that I'm going to think about how to do it. It's going to be great.
Hoofs on the ground.
I just want to say, if they announced this, it would literally be my most anticipated game straight away.
Right, hold on to your pants because I've got a crazy game sequel, which is crazy because it's not a game sequel as such. It's a Star Wars game that's never been done, okay? Get excited.
It's like a new thing altogether.
It's a brand new thing. Exactly. Hopefully it'll have a sequel because it's that good.
I'm in.
I don't know how to describe it, but I'll try.
That's bad, Dave.
It's basically Theme Death Star.
Like Theme
Right.
Hospital.
Like Theme Hospital,
that's a great
but the
idea.
Death Star. So you're kind of like manage it. It could be like floor by floor. I was thinking you could start. I don't actually know how the Death Star's laid out. Whether it's better to be in the middle or at the bottom or at the top. You know
raised a very important point I need to address early.
what?
I've never thought about the internal structure of Death Star either.
Right.
Does it have a top and a bottom? Or
I
is
don't
it
know.
built outwards? And
Is it like
how,
an onion?
How does
I
gravity
don't know.
work on the Death Star?
The Lego set has led me to believe that it's like a building.
Right.
This is partly why I think it would be great, because I think we'd all be learning. It's like, what got me thinking about it is that Eddie Izzard's sketch about Darth Vader having his lunch at the canteen. We could have a Death Star canteen. I want to know about that. I want to know where they all eat. I want to see Death Star lose. I want to see all the boring stuff.
Yeah, you've got to
that-
hire people to work in the canteen.
Exactly.
You've got to hire cleaners. You've got to hire engineers to maintain the big laser gun.
Exactly.
So-
Hire those little robots who woo, 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 woo.
One quick question. So, in the theme park, for example, you were making money.
Yes.
The Death Star,
Yeah.
that's nationalised.
Well-
That's galacticized, right?
Right.
So what's your...
We still have credits.
Yeah, but are you
But-
just trying to make money, or are you like... I was thinking if it's just efficiency for when the Emperor turns up.
Right. Yeah. Well, that is important
He's coming
because
here.
when he arrives, we'll double our efforts.
There should be a double your efforts button.
That's
That would
in
be
there.
like a boost you can get for one day. or
Yes,
something.
exactly, or a cheat or something. That's true. No, I haven't thought too much about what the point of it is. I mean, but you're trying to keep the Emperor away, I fear,
Yeah.
Do you have to
because
deflect like the occasional rebel attack?
yes, let's definitely say yes,
Wow.
because that would be cool.
That sounded cool.
And yeah, and I was thinking like, there'd be like, you have to power up the Death Star weapon and stuff. Like you have to make sure that there's enough kyber crystals in the chamber and stuff. And
Do you have to blow up the occasional planet as well?
Yeah, well, I think the orders come down, and that's what I mean. You've got to make sure you've got to keep the
it's sort of
laser
like-
in working
A
order.
bit like Overcooked, but instead of burgers, you're making.
Yeah, but not so intense as I want it to be slow and relaxed. I want to be moving around the Death Star, really taking it all in.
Well, surely you don't start with like the massive weapons that destroy planets, right? You kind of start with this basic shell of a...
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know whether you start at the bottom or you start in the middle or whatever, but you start somewhere quite
It's
unimportant.
fairly empty, right?
Fairly empty, and you're working. Maybe you get a floor. Maybe you're like a floor manager. But I mean, the dream is that you get to build the levels yourself. So, but that could be maybe Death Star 2, because that's under construction. So that one, maybe we could be like having a rethink. It could be both in the same game. Maybe the tutorial. That's how it's going to work. The tutorial is Death Star, the Death Star, right? And you do a bad job, and you get sent away, and then the Death Star explodes. And then they start to work on Death Star 2, and then they're like, oh god, that guy was rubbish, but we lost millions of people. So get him back for Death Star 2. And then they're like, what can you remember? This is how it would go. Can you remember the layout of the Death Star? We didn't write it down. And he's like, let me start with the trash compactors. And then you build up by level, and then the last level is you're doing the like the bridge.
I like it.
Oh, although then it does get destroyed again. Spoilers, but yeah, I know.
Okay, my idea, you're going to be shocked to hear, takes place in the universe of The Witcher.
No
Okay?
way.
I know, I was surprised too. And I was thinking about sequels that people do. Rob's already mentioned kart racing is a thing which happens, 1, 2, 3, kart. I was thinking about sports games. So I was thinking, could I do The Witcher Street? But that doesn't really work. And then I thought dating, and that's pretty well covered.
Yeah.
In many respects, it's actually harder to stop Geralt having sex than it is to just let him get on with it. You could do dancing. What I picked up on though, Rob, is the fishing, which you can't do in The Witcher. You can't fish. I would love Witcher just becomes, I'm trying to think of a pun with the fisher, but there isn't one really. So it's just The Witcher fishing. And the idea is, I love Skellige, right? I love being there. Dave, you've never got there.
No, I haven't, no.
Rob, you got there?
I've completed it, mate.
He's completed it, mate. Skellige's beautiful. It's like, it's just beautiful islands. And you can boat between them, and that's all I've got left in The Witcher anyway, right? Is Geralt on the seas, and there's wonderful music, and that's the only area of the game I've got any little quest markers left. So I'm just like picking up treasure there, and I was thinking it'd be something else to do here. I love spending time here. It's more sedate, so maybe it's like Geralt's retired. That's where he chooses to live, and he just fishes all day. And there's whales there, right? This is the only other thing I've got about this game, is that there are whales that you can sometimes see. It was one of the, the first time you see it, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. they put whales in the winter.
Exactly that voice as well.
And then the next time you see it, you're like, oh, that happens quite a lot.
Yeah,
Okay, cool, that's great. But then maybe like when you, I guess because I've never really played any Japanese fishing games, because they're, they're terrible, aren't they? But you level up. All I can think of is like the one in Bishi Bashi Special. He's like frantically. When you get better at it, so I'm imagining at some point, like with the armour, I've got all the mats that I need. I've gone and I've constructed an enormous rod, and eventually I'm going to be able to fish for the whale. Right, that's my journey. There's no NPCs. There's nothing else to do.
But you can get on land.
Yeah, for a bit. I guess it would be quite nice if you could build a little fire and cook your fish or whale, if you've got the whale.
Right. Well, if you've got the whale, you finish the game.
And you've got to gather your materials for the rods. So I guess you've got to be able to go inland.
How big's your boat if you've got a whale on it?
Well,
Good point.
That's a really good point.
Well, I guess you level up your boat. That's part of it.
I mean, what else is there to do in this game?
Maybe you've leveled up your rod too quick and you catch the whale and it capsizes your boat.
I was going to say, maybe the rod itself is too heavy. My boat's going like that through the water.
Yeah.
You're right. They do need new boats because the boats are just little fishing boats.
Yeah.
In The Witcher.
Yeah.
I just want to play more of The Witcher. Really.
I've got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is badly hung together.
Maybe.
I would play everyone else's games.
Oh, don't say that. I would play this one though. That's the important thing.
I know you would.
If we could just, whoever's putting this video together, if we could just play a bit of the Skellige music, I really feel it would help my case.
It will win people over.
I think it would, yeah. Just imagine being on a boat, like, taking out all the things that make The Witcher good from my game means that there's lots of memory left, and resources to make the sky look incredible.
Right.
We can really put our resources into stuff that no one really wanted in the original Witcher games, but which would make fishing a slightly better experience.
Right.
With Crash Team Racing, which I still maintain is the best kart racing game ever made.
That is controversial.
I know it's controversial, but I think it's the best karting game that's ever made. Even better than that other one.
You've
Which I've said before on this.
Better than Little Big Planet Karting.
Yes.
Better than Mod Racing.
We've done this whole joke before.
Wasn't there? Yeah, that's a good joke though.
It is a good joke, and one I'm not ashamed to say I'll make again. Thanks for watching. Pitch us your crazy sequel ideas in the comments and join us next week for another Tuesday checklist.